Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers.
With Liz Duffy. So I like to talk about, start these podcasts with talking about how we met. We just met right now upstairs.
We did.
I first, like I mentioned before, you first came across my radar because you were taking photos of, I believe it was Friends for the Ghost.
And I saw them last night.
Oh, did you? You
Yeah,
went to the Edison.
I did.
Oh, nice.
I did.
Spencer had a show, so we can go.
Yeah.
And then I think I might have seen another band you photographed, but maybe I just saw a post that you wrote and I thought, oh, he sounds really interesting. And I asked Wes, I don't know why I did that. I knew the answer. I asked Wes, do you think he'd be a good podcast guest? And he said, of course. I think anyone could be a good podcast guest.
Sure.
So I asked him anyway. He said yes. So here we are.
Yeah.
And so since that time, I've seen you write a little bit more online. When we talked the other day or a few weeks ago, you couldn't do this because you had dental surgery, and then you were in Japan.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is getting better and better. So let's talk about your dental surgery.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
It was horrible. It was horrible.
But,
So,
I mean, we could be jumping all over the map, which I tend to do on this, but let's try to keep it a little bit organized. Who are you and where did you start?
well, I started right here in the county. So,
So you're from the Skagit Valley.
I was born in Mount Vernon. I mainly grew up in Bellingham and eastern Whatcom County, so that was home for me there. So and in Bellingham for grade school, and then high school out at Mount Baker. I was a Mount Baker kid, so and then we got out of there, or I got out of there, and was in the Navy for a short time.
Oh, why did you join the Navy?
Because it was coming out of Mount Baker High School with a 1.9 GPA and really no support. That was kind of the good route to take.
I don't remember much of high school, and I wonder if in Canada, I'm Canadian, I wonder if it's different. I don't remember what my GPA was. 1.9 is not very good?
No,
So
it wasn't.
To get to college, what's like a good GPA?
Less beer drinking.
No. No, but like 3? Like, do you get to college?
Oh, yeah,
on a
like
3?
I think, probably between 3 and 4.
Okay. So you really enjoyed yourself in high school.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. Yes,
Yeah.
we did. Because we were county kids, so.
So in high school, you were a county kid. Did you what did you do besides, I guess, drink beer and not study? Like, were you a sports kid?
No.
Well, no, because then your grades would have been higher.
Probably.
'Cause you have to
Because
have.
you have to have it, yeah.
Which I do like that aspect.
Yeah, no, we were just goof offs, I guess, and to the photography, we're going to end up at photography, but photography started early on in a dark room. My dad had a business in Ferndale, and it had been a sports screen printing shop for jerseys and things like that, so they had left a dark room set up, and we built that out, and so I started doing pictures then.
Did you start photography in high school?
No, I was probably like 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the darkroom type of thing. So
Yeah. So early on.
yeah,
That was something that
So
you...
it was all about process then. It was about taking pictures and developing pictures and working in the darkroom and all that. So.
And it's not about that now.
No, well, it's evolved. It's certainly evolved through the years. So I mean, I ended up in college in a fine art degree and all that. So.
Where did you go to college?
I went to college.
Wait, you said that you didn't go to college because you got a 1.9.
When I got out of high
So
school, I went in the Navy.
You went to the Navy.
Because,
okay.
yeah.
And how long were you in the Navy for?
13 months.
Oh.
13 months.
That's a short amount of
It was a
time.
short stint. I ended up getting hurt. That's a long story, too. But they gave me a check and told me to go home. And that was good. That was good. It was just over a year, so I got all my veterans benefits and all that type of thing. So
Yeah.
So that was good.
Are you disappointed that you couldn't have?
It would have been a different life. It would have been a way different life, and I returned back to Washington. I got married.
And you were like, what, 20?
19.
19?
Yeah.
How did you meet your wife?
We were in high school. We were sweethearts in high school. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, got married and then moved to Seattle. And she was going to the U, and I got a job at St. Michel Winery down there and worked for them for 5 years. And when she got done with school, she applied for medical school, and we moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's where she got into school, and then that's where I did my undergraduate. My undergraduate degree was in Milwaukee at the University of Wisconsin.
So I guess at that point, I mean, does it matter what your grades are if you're quite a few years removed from high school?
Well, I've always, I guess, had to do things not the normal way. So when I was in the Navy, they had these college courses on the base, and I took a course in Soviet history just for something to do, and I ended up with this transcript from Chapman College out of Florida. And so when I got back to Seattle and was at the winery, then the winery would pay for tuition if the coursework pertained to having your job or a job in the company. So I started going to night school at Shoreline Community College, and they were paying for it. And, it was just a night school thing, so it was space available. So when I got to a point where I had to be matriculated into the system in order to, I guess, get my preference at the schedule. And they were giving me a hard time about, I needed to have an SAT score and have a proper application and all that. So and I said I didn't have any of that. And I had my folder of my miscellaneous stuff from school. And right before I left, I says, well, what about this? I got a transcript from Chapman College for this course. And she's like, well, I guess we can just label you as a transfer student. You don't need an SAT.
Nice.
So, I did that and ended up, with some coursework, just GUR coursework at Shoreline. And then when I applied to the University of Wisconsin, I just submitted that, and I was considered a transfer student. So my high school GPA, I didn't need any SAT. I just kind of end-run the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I graduated college with honors. So
just took you a while
to
figure out how to be a student.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I started university at 25 and finished at 30. So
I remember being in my teacher education courses when I was, I think, probably 23, because it was a 5 or 6 year program, and there was one woman in there. She had 5 kids. Mm-hmm. She was 40, and she was also an EMT. Yeah. And I just couldn't believe that she was doing that. I thought I was like, oh, this is so hard, living at home, no kids, right. No house to take care of. I thought that was so hard, but yeah, it's almost like the Parkinson's law. It's almost like whatever your situation is, that's what you can get used to.
Right.
Like, you can look at someone's situation and go, oh, I could never do that. And you're like, well, when you're in it, you can. Mm-hmm. So. 'Cause
you have to.
You have
to.
You
just have to, yeah.
Yeah. So you and your wife both graduated roughly the same time?
Well, she got her medical degree when I got my undergraduate degree. And then we moved back to Seattle. She got a residency at Virginia Mason, so we moved back to Seattle. That was 97. And spent 3 years there, and then moved back up here. Well, back up north in 2000. We were right on the fence between going back to Bellingham or coming here, and the deal at Skagit Hospital, then it was Skagit Valley Medical Center. It was a private practice. It was just a little bit better of a deal. So
that's where your wife works?
Yeah, well, that's where she did. We're divorced now, but
okay, yeah. And then, so she worked there, and then what did you do when you came back?
So when I got back to Seattle, I worked. So in college, I started off as a photo major, and I didn't care much for the department, didn't jive with them, and all my friends and the people I hung out with were graphic designers. So I ended up in the graphic design department, and that's what I got my degree in then. The other thing I did was fine art printmaking. I spent a lot of time in that shop doing mainly lithography, and so when I got back, I just started doing. Seattle was a weird graphic design market at that time.
And what year is this?
This is like 97.
Okay.
This is the middle of the 90s. So, I mean, graphic design had really exploded as far as, what everyone wanted to do in college. And Seattle was kind of the epicenter because of the music scene, right? The grunge scene had drawn in kind of the hip crowd of graphic designers. it was impossible to get a job in Seattle as a graphic designer. It was just oversaturated type of thing. So I ended up doing just freelance work, and then I worked as an assistant for a printmaker in North Lake Union, Kent Lovelace, and he had a studio there. He did contract printing for, fine art printing and that type of thing.
So what is fine art printing?
Well, back in the day, it would have been, we were doing lithography.
Which
but
is?
It was...
Talk to me like I'm 5.
Okay. There's three kinds of printmaking. There's intaglio printmaking, which is what people a lot of times refer to as etching.
Okay.
And that's where the ink in the plate is in the recess of the plate. And so when you press the paper, dampened paper down on the plate and you pull it out, the printing mark comes from the recess or the crevice.
And is the plate like a rubber kind of mat?
No, in intaglio it would be mainly copper. Copper's the go-to, and maybe zinc.
Okay, so you would carve into it.
Yeah, or chemically. You'd etch
okay.
into it. That's
okay.
what people refer to as etchings, but there's all different ways to do intaglio prints.
Okay.
There's a relief printing. That's what you're talking about, like maybe wood cuts or lino cuts. And so there you're...
Like a rubber stamp type thing.
Yeah. So there you're putting the ink on the surface of the printing matrix, and then you're pulling your image from that. Lithography is what they call planographic printing, because the printing service and the non-printing service are the same plane. And you acquire that chemically by doing different processes, and you make, in traditional stone lithography, you make parts of the stone will be water loving and other parts will be grease loving. So if you keep the matrix damp and you're rolling ink on it, it'll only stick to where you've drawn, but not to where the water is. It's a little difficult to wrap your head around it.
Oh, interesting.
But it's the same way they print newspapers. I mean, commercial printing is all lithographic printing too, so that type of thing. But in the old days, it was all done on limestone, these big pieces of limestone that this guy, Sindefelder, figured out that if you put grease on it and you etched it to a certain pH, that grease mark would take ink and the other areas wouldn't.
Wow. So when you worked for these places, like, are you the one that's doing the design on the stone, or are you the one that's like doing the process?
So back in the day, no, there was print shops where basically the printer, the artist would come in and make the plates. The printer then would print the plates and run the edition. So,
and so
it was
would you be the artist?
No, I would be the printer.
Oh, you were the printer.
Yeah,
okay, got it.
Yeah, or for Kent, it was the printmaking assistant. So.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so.
And how long did you work there?
Oh, it's just those last like 2 years in Seattle after we moved up here, and
then what did you do when you moved here?
Had more kids.
Oh, stay-at-home dad.
Pretty much, yeah. So I just did my own thing. So when my oldest son was born in '98, so when we were still in Seattle, and then my middle son was born in 2001, and then 2003 for my youngest, and they were born up here.
Okay.
So yeah, it was kind of like with my oldest son, I could still do quite a bit of work. I was still doing a lot of freelance work and art making. When my second son came along, and then it was kind of a harder reach. And then when my third son came along, it was like, what grocery store can I go to get, a cart that I can put 3 kids in, right? I mean, that ended up being the decision-making process.
Yeah.
So, so I kind of let go of my art making in those days. I had a studio at home and a printing press and all that, and I was focused more on fine art printmaking in the early 2000s. I let go of photography. It was in this weird transition then between film photography and digital photography. And digital photography really hadn't gotten to a point of quality, at least a cost point. It was still better to shoot film. But I saw the handwriting on the wall that the film days were ending. And so my thought was like, okay, I'll go back to photography once I can get a camera that can produce prints in the same quality as 35 millimeter film that costs less than $3,000 for a camera.
Yeah.
And that happened in 2010.
Okay.
So in 2010, I decided to go back to photography from the printmaking. And
your youngest was in school now?
yeah. So I was starting to get some breathing room there.
Yes.
So, and so I ended up opening a studio. I went down to UW for a year to get back into Seattle with their continuing education photography program, and went through that, and then opened a studio in Anacortes downtown in 2012, and I ran that till 2018.
And so in your studio, would you just have your work in it?
Pretty much. I did show other people's work in it. In 2013 is when I slipped into the music photography. And so I really did a lot of that back then through that studio. And so mainly venue stuff, and then as much like performer, marketing material, that type of thing.
Did you mainly do Anacortes?
Anacortes, Bellingham.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it started in Bellingham. Bellingham was the main scene back then.
Who are the bands that are still around that I would know?
You would know Hot Damn Scandal.
Oh, I've heard of them. I heard they just signed to Washington's Records.
Yeah, with Sam Shue.
Yeah.
And I was out. Did you go to Larrabee? Were you out there at Larrabee?
I was, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So it was super cool to go out there because I hadn't seen Sam for a long time, nor Matney, and it was the first time in quite a while I've seen Stone. Stone and I went to high school together.
You know what? When you said Mount Baker, I thought, I wonder if he went to high school with Stone.
He was a couple years younger and had a different name then, but
and also Phil. Phil, Phil's the drummer for Corey Vincent and the Electric Band. Phil Carter. He also knows Stone from high school.
Oh, he was a baker? Was he younger?
Yeah, they went to high school together. Yeah.
So maybe he was younger.
He might have been 1 year different, but they knew each other at least. Yeah.
So I think Stone was a freshman when I was a senior.
Oh, okay.
I was just leaving when he was. But I could still remember him. And there was a practice room with a drum set, and I still remember him banging around on that drum set back there.
Well, if you listen to any episodes of my podcast, please listen to Stone's.
Yeah, Stone's awesome.
I didn't really know anything about Stone. He came over, and it was such a great interview. I think I cried when he left. It was just one of those perfect nights, you know? Yeah. And he told me about Matney. Excellent. Her new album is so good. I had it on repeat yesterday.
I listened to the first couple tracks yesterday, and I need to listen to it some more. But yeah, Matney's great.
I think out of any of them, Lonesome Cowboy has like the Stone stamp on it for sure. Yeah.
I took pictures of Matney. She was in a band called the Mudflat Walkers way back when, and I think it was one of their albums. I don't know if it was her album or their album, but the album release was up at the Bellingham Circus Guild. And the whole setup was when she came in, she rode her horse into the circus guild.
Of course she did.
And I think I was one of the only ones that kind of knew, on the inside that knew about it because I was waiting to take the photo, right? But
well, Matney, I challenge you to get a horse down here.
Yeah. Well, if you can, she will. And she is just... She's great. She is just really great. So
yeah, it was a good time at the Larrabee State Park for sure. Did you go to the Blue Room after?
I did not.
It was a long day. If you were at both,
I snuck out for like 2 or 3 hours. Maybe I was there 2 hours. My mom was in town, so they went up to visit friends. So I ran out to see that. It's the only second time I've seen music at that amphitheater.
I've never seen music there.
Yeah. And it was one of my favorite places to go. I mean, I've been going there since I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't know why there isn't more things out there because it's such an awesome spot.
So you said that you were photographing musicians in like 2013-ish?
Yeah, it started.
That's when you started?
Right. It started, I was, I had a booth at the Bellingham Farmers Market in 2013 and, a photo deal. And not a photo booth, but just selling photos and that type of thing. And my girlfriend at the time, she comes, I'm at the booth, and she's been out wandering around, and she goes, "You got to go take pictures of this guy, these buskers over there." And if there's anything I really hate, is somebody telling me to go take pictures, right? It's like, that's my decision, right? But, she was totally right. I went over there, and Pete Irving was playing with... I don't remember who else was. It was before Mickey, so it was Andy was there, and Harper Stone was probably there. And that was probably it. I don't know. But I got a really great picture of Pete. I just walked up and took a couple pictures of Pete. I got home. I looked at those pictures. It's like, wow, this is a great picture. So I made a couple of cards, gift cards up with that picture on it. And the next week or so, he was there, and I gave him the cards. And he's like, he was thankful, but he's like, we're playing over at Boundary Bay on Thursday night. You should come over and take pictures of us there. I think Harper actually was the one that was telling me that. So I went over there, and then that's what kind of started the whole music photography thing was with them. And then they started, like, Harper was like, I remember he was like, I think it was just right in that same time period that there was a band called Intuitive Compass with Aurelia and Jason DeWest. Okay. Have you seen those guys?
No.
I don't think they really perform much anymore. Aurelia was just, both of them were up this summer separately. But, just characters to photograph. She's got a baby on her back with headphones on stage while she's playing accordion. You just couldn't ask for anything better photographically. And it just went great from there. So the local music scene is so nice because you have access to the artists, the musicians, and that type of thing. I mean, you got venue scenes that are challenging to shoot in, but you can move around, you can shoot. Nobody really tells you to quit. You go to big shows, and either you have to have credentials, or or they tell you the first 3 songs, and that's it, right?
Yeah. No, that we went to Bumbershoot a couple weeks ago, and that's what they said. Although they didn't tell us the 3-song thing, so it was almost the end of one set. I just walked in. First of all, I shouldn't have got a photo pass because I didn't have a camera, but they gave me both.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm literally like the first couple bands. I went by myself the first day. The first couple bands I'm in there, everyone's got these lenses that are like a meter long. Mm-hmm. I'm in there with my cell phone. Yeah. No one said anything. It must look so ridiculous. Someone probably took a picture of me going, why is she in there?
Sure.
It was great.
Yeah.
And the next day I was like, babe, you got to go in there. It's so fun. So Spencer tries to go in. They wouldn't let him in. He's like, oh, it's just because you're a girl.
Oh.
So we were talking a bit to the lady, and she's like, no, like, we didn't, or the security guards weren't told all the rules the first day. So, yeah, you're only supposed to go in during the first 3 songs, and that's it. Only 20 people in there, and you have to have a camera.
Right.
Because he's trying to, flash his badge, and they're like, you don't have a camera.
Right.
So, but yes, I'm picturing lots of shows I've been to, like our buddy Steve Chambers just, like, walks around. Yep. I'm sure he, clarifies with the bands, but he knows them, right? So he can get right in there, and everyone's just so grateful. Like, oh, my gosh, like, you took time to take pictures of us? Like, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I normally don't want to even pull the camera out until the second set, right? So I think it'd be really challenging being a photographer on a main circuit somewhere that I guess that's why the photographs all just look the same.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I'm curious, did you play music growing up, or what did you listen to?
Yeah, I was in the band. I played tuba.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, with Stone.
He
was on drums.
Oh, with Stone.
And there was about 90 other people, but
that's so funny. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Do you still play?
Not really. I'll bang on a piano every once in a while, a little bit, and that's about it. No.
Did your parents listen to music growing up?
No, there was some Elvis records around, and some polka records. Their lineage is all Minnesota farmers, so.
Oh, okay.
There was a dozen records, I think, and that was about it. So it wasn't a big thing. They did encourage music. I guess in town before we moved out to the county, there was a junior orchestra, and I played violin for a year in that when I was in 5th grade.
Yeah.
And but out at the county, then it was just a symphonic band type deal.
Yeah. So it's not like you sought out, oh, like I love music and I'm a musician, I want to, photograph them. It just kind of happened. Yeah,
it totally happened. I think before that picture of Pete, which was really seminal, I think, in the music photography, my music photography. I mean, I was more concerned with landscape photography. I had some desire to do, authentic portraits. I've always had that desire too, to catch people as they are. And I think that's the beautiful thing about music photography, too. It's because when the musicians are on stage, they have to let go of what people are thinking they look like. This is what I've found, at least. And you really get to see their personalities in performing. It's been interesting because when I've brought them into the studio to do promotional material for them, they freeze up. It's not all of them, but it's not uncommon for musicians or performers, or circus people or whatever. It's like when they're off the stage and not on the lights, and I'm sure they get in their own space when they're in that, and it's a blessing to be able to photograph that, to document that. But yeah, in the studio sometimes I've had them just get super rigid, and so when you shoot local music, you get a ton of bad lighting.
Oh yeah.
And I've come to embrace bad lighting. It's just even like, they say bad weather makes good photographs, right?
There was a guy last night at the Buxton show, and he had like a little flash.
I did that at the depot once, and it turned out really well. I went in beforehand and put a studio light up in the rafters with a remote trigger, and I had it in a way that I talked to, I can't remember who all was there. That was a Carl Blau thing. But I don't think it really bothered them. And but I was able to get, because you can't control light in those venues. Like if you get a chance to control light, it's a blessing type of thing to be able to do anything like that.
Yeah. I
got really good photographs that time. And there was another guy in there shooting too. And I always like to talk to whoever else is shooting and introduce myself and see what's going on. I like the idea of community, right? The photography community. And I was showing him, what I had gotten, and some of the stuff and he was like, "Well, how are you getting that?" And I point up the light, and I hand him the trigger that goes on top of the deal. It's like, stick this on top of your camera, go nuts, right? And he was just happy as a pig, as they say, right?
That's great. Yeah, he learned something from you. That's awesome.
Well, yeah. So, but as far as just challenging, like I remember we were shooting a show. It was Hot Damn, a Halloween show in Bellingham, and the venue was there up on a block up off of State Street. It was like an old Masonic lodge or something like that. And same thing, the lighting in there was horrible. Tiny stage, no lights. It was just dark. There was another photographer. He showed up. He looked around. He goes, "Nope," and he walked out. But down in the basement of this building, there was a hallway that connected, some underground rooms there, and the bathrooms were down there and all that type of thing. But this long hallway, and it had a line of incandescent lights down there. So during the break, I grabbed the band. It says, "We got to go downstairs and shoot downstairs because this isn't working up here." And they were all in Halloween costumes. They're different costumes for Halloween. And it was like some of the best images I made of them.
Oh, that's great.
It was just like, okay, this isn't working here. Then what's going to work? Do I work with what I have? And you can. I can pull out pretty good stuff in low light. Part of that's just, you just got to use really fast lenses. And
or do you walk out and say no?
I generally don't. I kind of see it as a challenge, right? What can I get out of this? It's like I walk in and think, "Oh, this is going to be horrible."
Yeah,
it's just going to be horrible.
Or you get a good story out of it. I used to coach track, and I would always tell the kids, like, if they were looking at the forecast, like, "Oh man, it's going to rain during our anacortes meet." Hey guys, we either have good weather or a good story. Like, right. I don't tell the stories of the good weather track meets. But I tell the story of the one at Anacortes where all the coaches got COVID. The Anacortes ones, they were gone. We were the only ones there. A bunch of the volunteers didn't show up because it was raining. It was pouring. So all the Burlington coaches had to run the events. So we were doing shot put. I had the clipboard, and I was telling who was next. Olive, my daughter, and our friend Hunter. He was one of the coaches too. They were both shagging balls. And I mean, what do? You just laugh because it was so ridiculous that we were playing. It was downpour. And I took this photo of Olive, and she was kind of like laughing just at the sky with this hood on, and she was completely drenched. And I was like, "You are such a fun mix of like soldier and comedian." She's like, "What are we gonna do?" "Yep, let's do it. But we'll laugh while we're doing it."
Right.
And I've told that story so many times, and I wouldn't have told it if we got a tan during the
Right,
event.
right.
You know?
Yeah,
So-
or if you showed a photograph of her standing there in a T-shirt and a pair of shorts and a clear blue sky, with nothing else around, it's like that's,
yeah.
the most boring photograph ever.
One of my other favorite photos of her just drenched. She went duck hunting for the first time, and it was horrible. I mean, I don't think they saw any ducks. They sat in this muddy blind for 5 hours, and I think some water got in her boots, and she came back, and she was miserable. And I was like, yes,
Yep, yep,
this is what we're teaching you.
yep, exactly.
How did you, so photography is something, so you had the studio in Anacortes, and what made you close that down?
Well, after the divorce, I had to, come up, photography was contracting as an industry. And the commercial work I was trying to do for day rates and that type of thing, it just was really difficult to get around here. I did have a little bit of aspirations to follow the performer photography, but it would have required a move. I just had to go to a bigger market. It would have been Vegas or LA or New York or that type of thing.
And your kids were in high school?
Yeah, it was like, and so I'd split custody with my kids at the time, so there was no way I was going to leave them.
Yeah.
And so stuck it out. So I ended up going back to, actually I started in the composite program at Skagit because of Hexel around the corner. I live over by Bayview up by the golf course there. And, you could get a basically living wage job there. And so that's like, okay, whatever I have to do to stick around to raise my boys. And in the midst of that program was sort of dovetailed in the Marine Tech program. And it's like, these guys are having a lot of fun. I like boats. So I ended up going through that. And so, I make a living now working on boats.
Oh, that's what you do
now?
Yeah,
that's what I do. Yeah, it's a lot easier to get people to pay you to to fix their marine toilet that doesn't work than to take their pictures. So.
So the photography now is like a passion.
Yeah, and it's a passion, and so I closed the studio in 2018, and
then COVID hit.
yeah, and COVID was kind of the death of the whole thing. It was kind of weird. It got really toxic, just locally within the performer scene. I thought it did. In 2020, I set out to do a personal project, a one image a day, posted on Facebook, with a lot of times a little bit of writing in that, with it. And so I forced myself into doing this, and I did it. I did the whole year. I think I missed maybe 10 days of the whole year of not posting an image. And
was the writing just like describing the image?
So, some of it's poetic, some of it was, descriptive, just whatever I was feeling that morning. And did it every morning. It was a ritual. So by the end of that year, it's like there was so much, like I say, toxic behavior over the COVID issue online, especially on social media. I was exhausted. I just was completely exhausted with it, and I decided I just got to shut it off. And I'm literally shut it off for a month. I didn't miss it, and I just deleted everything and sort of went underground. The interesting thing is I ran into people after that really didn't interact with me online or make comments, but they're like, well, what happened to your Facebook page? And it's like, well, I'd shut it down. I'd had enough. And they were like, you know what? I look forward to that every morning, seeing that image. And so that really caused me to pause, too, because you really don't know how much of effect you have out there in the world, especially when you're making art and doing that type of thing. It can feel pretty lonely sometimes, too. And so I sat with that, and I just decided this last year to come back to social media. And, I guess I'm a little sad that I deleted all my old social media because all that went back a long ways, and there was a lot of band stuff in there. There was a local music lineage all throughout, basically 2013 forward to 2020. But and so I'm back but I'm approaching it in a different way. I think coming back to when you're an artist, or it doesn't matter what it is you're doing, but if it's something process orientated, I think if you put it down for a while, you come back to it with a different mindset. And it maybe allows you to either let go of things that were holding you down before. That's one benefit of it. And then it also, I think, opens some direction on some different avenues that maybe you knew before, but you were too concerned about having a business with it. Like, I mean, that was one of the nice things about closing the studio and finally deciding that, this wasn't going to be a lucrative, wage earning thing for me. And I wasn't really a portrait photographer, wedding photographer. I didn't like those environments and that type of thing because they're lucrative. You can make money in that. In between, when I left the winery, and there was about a year period there before I started college, I actually sat down and wrote. I'm hesitant to say novel.
Say it. Own it.
It was. The advice I got on it once was, "There's some really great writing here that's really poorly held together."
Was that coming from a writer?
Yeah.
Okay.
So. So I've always enjoyed writing. I probably would have considered myself artistically a writer before a photographer, because photographer was more about process, was more about chemistry, and I remember writing poetry and even in high school and that type of thing. So and as I get older, I'm 58. And, the kids are on their way, and I kind of feel like, okay, I guess my job here is done. I do feel like writing is probably going to be the best way to leave something behind. I look forward to, like, quiet times of sitting and just writing out long form. I do kind of short form stuff now, nothing too long. But
yeah,
I'm looking forward to doing something longer or maybe more philosophical or that type of thing. So every doorway is, from one place to another, right? So I think you got to put your time in too. It's like, I'm glad I wrote a crappy book when I was in my 20s, because now I don't have to write a crappy book now. I can move on to something else. It's like, done that, right?
You have to start. I think Greg McEwen says that. He says, start with rubbish.
Yeah.
Just know that your first draft is going to be a piece of crap, and then you're just going to get better. Just like anything.
The photography is the same way.
Yeah.
I struggled through making the same mistake over and over and over until I didn't. So,
yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, then I don't even think about it. So.
So are all your boys out of the house now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My youngest is in Alaska, in Anchorage. She's married 2 years now. Just finishing up a degree in engineering.
Oh, wow.
So he's kind of the smart. I shouldn't say that. He's the engineering, like the sort of the engineering math kid, right?
Yeah.
My oldest son is.
Is he the one in Japan?
Yeah, he just came back. He's actually at the house, so
cool.
he's done there now.
Oh, so he doesn't live there?
No, he went over for 2 years and studied language, and got his proficiency. Then came back and finished his undergraduate degree at Western, and then went back and taught English in the school system over there. And he just finished his contract here this last, it was actually in the spring, but he stuck it out till summer because of the way the breaks were and all that type of thing. So,
yeah.
And he had decided that there wasn't, I don't want to say a future, but that part of his life was done. He was ready to come back and try something else. So I'd come up with the idea when the kids I wanted the year between their 8th and 9th grade year, before he went to high school, I wanted them to go to a different first world country on a trip that summer to see that, the other guy knows something too. And in my mind, it was a way I felt to maybe combat peer pressure and that type of thing of not, of giving them some worldly experience before they got into high school. And so he went to Japan, and he just fell in love with it.
Oh,
just
wow.
right then, so he was 14 or whatever, 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
Made the trip over. And
what does your middle son do?
He just finished nursing school.
Oh, cool. Yeah. In Bellingham?
No, he was at Everett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, down in Everett. Yeah, so he's got his RN. So.
And so where did he go for his trip?
Well, because his older brother went to Japan, he went to Japan. My youngest son went to Germany. So,
okay. Yeah.
So it probably had something to do with the Axis powers. I don't know. So.
Was there like an event that happened where you thought of this idea of taking them, or?
Well, I think that just being a concerned parent of how they're going to function through high school. You know, they're getting to a point at that age that you're really losing control over their lives. It's like, I just can't tell them at that point. It's like, well, what can I kind of sneakily do to make them question life or whatever?
I've never heard of that. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, try to give them perspective and just sort of realizing that, you know, once your kids are like 10, 12 years old, your ability to just dictate to them just kind of ends, right?
Yeah.
And the eye rolling starts and all that. But
so now you've started posting your writing, and I noticed, like, I just kind of skimmed really quick, but I'm guessing that you're writing longer pieces now than before, because you said you posted a picture, then you write a little bit about it.
Right.
Are you definitely, like, because you said before too that, like, you're looking forward to, now the kids are out of the house, to just sit down and have that time to write, like,
time.
long form?
Yeah. So, and I don't. I mean, it's nice to sit down with a photograph or a series of photographs from the same, you know, shooting, and turn some nice music on and just ruminate on it a bit and let it flow, type of thing. But that only goes so far, right? You know, that has a beginning, middle, and end. It's like, and it's around that photograph or that type of thing. So I am looking forward to, because that was one thing with the book, was that it's difficult. I can sit down and write today, but like in 2 days I sit down to continue on where I left off. I felt it was difficult to have keep that same vibe going. Like,
right.
To be in, you know, it's like, because, well, maybe you're in a different state of being tired, or maybe, you know, you have different stresses or different things going on, and I think that does affect your writing.
Is that going to be an ultimate goal for you, is to publish a book about what, yourself, more fiction, loosely based on you?
It's, you know, I really, I have the desire to, I have the plan to go to Alaska. Planning on moving up. And my son's up there, and I think
moving up there.
Yeah. At least sort of part-time initially. I have a lot of connection down here, and it's not that far flying from Anchorage to Seattle, but I like the idea of getting out in the quietness of Alaska and writing, you know, and finding, you can call it a Walden moment or whichever, right? So just more, like, I think philosophical type writings and that type of thing. I mean, I don't know where it's going to go.
Yeah.
You know,
so where's your photography at currently? Like, where would you?
Well, it's been interesting because, you know, the camera was pretty quiet through, you know, as somebody who did a lot of, you know, music and venue photography, that COVID disrupted that tremendously. I want to come back to probably more fine art. It's been enjoyable to come back and shoot some music photography and even just like people I've known for 10, 12 years in the music scene up here, and reconnecting with them. And
I guess, like, what made you start to come back to photographing music?
Well, I guess that, you know, you can only be an artist and not make art for so long, right? I mean, there's a point, right, with that.
Did you go, like, to a show to, like, enjoy it, and you're like, whoa, I should have my camera?
Well, I did enjoy it a little bit last night. I was like,
oh, you didn't bring your camera last night?
Oh, I did.
Oh, you
I did.
Yeah.
I totally did. Yeah. No, I can't do that. But it is interesting to just try to enjoy the show. I can't help myself but want to move around and take pictures, or try to move around. Some venues you just can't. But
was that your first time seeing Friends for the Ghost was it the Northern State?
No, it was actually over. They opened for The Enthusiast on Guaymas.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the first time. I don't know how I had never not run into them yet, for whatever reason. It's just kind of weird. And when I heard them, I shot some pictures, you know, just kind of warming up for The Enthusiast, and I shot some pictures of them as they opened, and I really, you know, I enjoyed their music, and they had a nice vibe, and it was pretty easy to take pictures of them. They move around. They're enthusiastic on the stage, and I reached out to Wes afterwards because I wanted to post some pictures. The other thing I've come to is, like, my music photography before was predicated upon doing justice for the musicians and the venues, and potentially thinking about how, you know, this would lead to other, you know, music photography work or whichever type of thing. Now I just really don't care. and so, you know, I like for that enthusiast show that they did over there, I did this kind of gritty post-processing thing that I never would have done before. But then I also like, oh, well, I'm going to, you know, get these pictures of crows, and because the crow theme through the enthusiast, so put these crow pictures throughout the album type of thing. And I would have never done that before. and I've known the you know Summer Carter and those people for a while, and but with Friends with the Ghost, I hadn't seen them before, and I thought, how am I going to handle these pictures? I'm sitting there doing the post processing, so I wrote Wes, and I was like, so what's about? Because I didn't want to like find out like Friends for the Ghost just because somebody had like a dead brother, and this was the tribute band, or you know, I didn't want to cross over into anything that just was kind of caddish or something like that. But and then he was just like, no, it's just about letting things go. So there, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do these funny lens flare things, like they're ghosting lens flare for and I would have never done that stuff before. And it's just, so I'm approaching it more on maybe a easier, fun level, my music photography.
Yeah,
as I go back into it, yeah. I'm not worried about a business side. I'm just going to do what I want to do with it, type of thing, and and they'll benefit from it.
Yeah.
But and it was like Hot Damn Scandal way back in the day. It's like I listened to them, and as far as, a couple of kids that looked like, they just got off the rails, which, some of them did, they really had talent and a nice sound, a unique sound, and I feel the same thing about Wes and Carly in the group, and the talent they got with, the whole group they got put together there now, they're worth listening to. There's some people that are just fun to listen to, and some people are just because that's what's on. But they're good. They're actually good. They're worthwhile. So do you know Carl Blau?
No. I just started this podcast like 3 years ago. Carl's brother Peter as his band teacher. Oh. So all the guys from Pretty Much Nothing, his punk band, they all had Peter Blau or Peter Ormsby as their band teacher.
Yeah.
So I've heard a lot about Carl.
Yeah, and he's back in Philadelphia now.
Yes.
So when I was first interested in local music, it was the Department of Safety in Anacortes. You heard of them? So it was just like a little co-op-y type, all ages venue. It was in the old fire station, basically, that had been converted, was being rented out. And I was introduced, it's like in the early 2000s to it. But the thing that I loved about it, it was all ages. There was no drugs or alcohol. It's supposed to be there. And it was a place for kids to come listen to music and play music, but not just kid stuff. It was all, it was young people. And I've always... I don't dislike it, but I dislike the idea of how much control the bar scene has over local music. I have nothing against, going to bars and listening to music, and there's a vibe that happens in bar music that doesn't happen elsewhere. I don't have a problem with that, but I think in general they have too much control over who plays what and where in the past type of thing. So the Department of Safety got me really interested in the all ages music thing. This is before I was still making prints at that point, making fine art prints. I wasn't really shooting photography then. And then they closed. The thing kind of wrapped itself up, and there was a vacuum for all ages music in the county. And then I met Carl, and he came up on an art walk night in 2015, and I had not met him before. And he explained to me of Anacortes Music Channel. Now they call it AMP, but it started as Anacortes Music Channel. We say AMC, and they would say, "You guys like the movie thing?" No. And we rented a place down on Commercial in the Olson Building, I think it's called, and had this really cool little space. And Carl he was part of the indie music thing, and so he could pull in. It was just people come out of the woodwork would come play there. From all over the world. And, but it was at all ages. venue, and we had from high school kids coming in there and playing there and
Oh, so you're one of the founders of AMP?
Yeah, so Carl and myself and Chris Terrell and a fellow named Michael Vitale were kind of the four linchpins that started that whole thing in 2015.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And I photographed everything down there. That was kind of my role in the whole deal. And at the end of that year, it was becoming apparent that we couldn't financially keep the thing going. It was too expensive. But it didn't matter because the place caught on fire.
Oh, no.
That's a funny story, too. Ben Starner, the piano player.
I have never met him, but yes.
Yeah, so he was down there. He was playing, and I'll tell you this story. I think it's a great story. So at this point, we're sort of at the end of the run of the building, and Carl has set up the radio station part of it. We got that up and going because at first it was just venue. And and so Ben had been playing down there, and he wrapped up and left and locked the place up, and the radio station was supposed to be playing. And Carl's got the radio station on, and he's not hearing any music, and he hears this crackling sound, like static type deal. So he thinks, oh well, something's gone offline, and I'm going to run down there. This is like 9-10 o'clock at night, like on a Wednesday or something. And he runs down there and he gets there, and he can't see in the windows because the place is on fire. Well, it's fortunate because at the time there was an apartment in the upstairs of that building that had a disabled person up there that was living there. And so Carl finally figures out, he gets in the building, and then he's like going crazy, yelling fire, call 911, whatever. He's having a meltdown. And but the radio station's on, so it's broadcasting all this, right? So actually Doug Cassidy has got the radio station on. Here's Carl down at the space. This is a story I'm told. Here's Carl down at the space having a conniption fit about the building's on fire, and he's got to try to get this person out from upstairs. So Doug actually, from listening from the feed, actually calls 911 to get the fire department down there to put the place out.
Oh, my gosh.
And that was the end of the space. Though I did get in there like about 2 or 3 days later, and it was just after Thanksgiving. We had a big Thanksgiving thing down there, and there had been artwork on the walls, like small frame pictures that had, as the place burned and filled with smoke, the pictures were gone, but there's these ghost images of where the frames were and everything on there. And it ended up being a really nice suite of prints I did called The Ghost Portraits of AMC. So. Oh,
wow.
And there again, that's where the website needs to go back up because
yes.
all that work needs to go back up.
Wow, that's incredible.
But yeah, that was kind of the crazy story of the ending of AMC, which turned into, it's the end of the space that, AMC continued and the Carters and there's a whole group of people out there that have taken it over, doing a really great job of keeping the all ages thing going. So Doug and Carl and Jake Navarro and Brian, Tottingham.
Okay.
They were part of like Mount Erie, and they were part of that early music. Carl comes back occasionally. He was here.
He just came back. Yeah.
Yeah, he was back for a little bit.
That show. I forget.
I was going to say you should have him on. That would be want to talk about Skagit music in that. He's it. We can get irritated because there's some white-haired driver driving too slow, in front of us or making the terminal right turn. But then I stop and I think like, boy, I bet that person's got interesting stories and been interesting places. Really, if we do slow down a little bit and ask some questions, it's like most people have had really interesting parts of their lives.
For sure.
So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I joke that I want to interview everyone in the Valley, but it's true, I do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, send more people my way, please.
Yeah,
okay, so I guess I'm not going to send people to...
Oh, well, so I'm back on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Thaddeus Hink on Facebook. There's an Instagram account that just kind of mirrors the Facebook stuff.
And you're going to put your website back up.
I'm going to put a website back up. Yeah, that's going to come back up. The other thing I'm interested as far as writing is Substack.
I just joined Substack.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good place to post writing.
Yeah.
And I've read a lot of really nice stuff on there.
Cool.
Too.
Yeah, then people can learn about you there and read your writing. And if you're at a show taking photos,
they can come up and say hi.
They can say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I guess let us know if you move to Alaska.
Yeah, I'm in the process of selling my house, and just because that chapter is over, you know, I bought the house in 2000 when we moved up here. So, and I've always wanted to go to Alaska. So,
well, you should listen to Matney's song "Trailer," because she talks about how living in a trailer is awesome. Mm-hmm. And I thought, God, I want to sell my house now.
Yeah. And same thing, I've sort of, as I reconnected with some of the people, I've told them, it's like, I'm planning on going north, and I wouldn't mind bringing some of you people with me, to come up. They love live music in Alaska.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it's like, and then it's not as proliferated as it is down here.
Yeah.
And so when it happens, they're well
There's
taken
a crowd.
care of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, type of thing. So I think even that would be fun to use contacts from down here and bring them up and have shows and stuff up there. So
that would be really fun. Yeah. I've never been to Alaska, so
it's just like here, just bigger.
Yeah. Quieter, bigger and quieter.
Bigger and quieter.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for coming over, Thad.
Yeah,
that was
thanks
fun.
for having me.